Hey everyone, welcome again to the Immortality Podcast. I'm your host, Jake, here with Josh.
Hello.
Hello. So today we're going to do another Darjeeling. This is a Darjeeling Oolong, so, appropriate for Gung Fu style tea brewing, of course, probably preferable for Gung Fu style tea brewing, unlike the majority of Darjeeling teas on the market. As always, hot rinse the vessels, gets everything preheated, nice and ready for the tea, rinses off any dust, any goo from the last tea session if you're lazy about washing your stuff like I am.
So this one is called the Red Thunder?
This one is called Red Thunder. Yeah, that's how the farmer sells it to us. But it's a good name. Fruity, malty.
Yeah, exactly what you just said. It's malty at first, and then the fruit kind of comes in. Wow, that's nice.
So I'm not gonna wash this one. I'm not gonna rinse the leaves. It's pretty fresh still. Just from last autumn. I don't. It's twisted, so it'll probably get a little stronger in the first couple infusions. Rinsing is generally for very tightly rolled oolongs, aged oolongs, or puer teas. Free any dust off the leaf and get it started up. But I think this one will do fine without a rinse, seeing as it is so fresh.
So this is a Darjeeling that was prepared like an oolong?
For anyone who doesn't know or needs a refresher, oolong just means semi-oxidized tea. So falling somewhere between green, white, and black tea. But usually there's a lot more to it than that. There's oolongs are generally rolled, withered, and bruised much more extensively than other teas are, and generally have a more complex processing methodology than green and white and black teas.
The leaves are red.
The leaves are red. The soup is red. Everything is red. Get ready to roll, baby.
Yeah, Red Thunder, here I come.
Oh yeah.
I didn't expect that.
Expect what?
The flavor.
Yeah. I would call this definitely red grape, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's the foremost thing that I get.
Well, and when you say grape, I go right to Muscatel, like that kind of older grape that has a thick seed.
Yeah, and that's how Darjeeling should generally taste. A couple episodes back we talked about terroir in relation to puer tea. Darjeeling, of course, a northern Indian province, has its own kind of set of terroir. It's a fairly small area, just a district in northern India. All the tea flavor is going to be somewhat uniform compared to other regions.
And with the Darjeeling tea region, what are the main cultivars or types of tea plants there?
Well, so this is an interesting question. So we talk about Assamica and Sinensis varietals of tea, right? Darjeeling was, of course, planted by the British with Chinese tea, so Sinensis varietal tea leaves. They found that Sinensis, which tends to have smaller leaves, does better in colder and higher elevation environments, whereas Assamica tends to do better in lower, more humid environments. So Assam, obviously, they planted tea bushes, Assamica tea bushes in Assam, and they planted Sinensis tea bushes in Darjeeling. Darjeeling being higher elevation, more northern region than Assam.
These leaves are getting even more beautiful. Like the round edges of the leaves have a really deep dark red, and then I think there will be some green in them, but a very nice color.
It's pretty heavily oxidized. It's going to be closer to black than green tea. Some oolongs fall a little closer to green, like a lot of the high mountain Taiwanese oolongs do. This one is going to be a little closer to black tea, so it has a little more of the malt character.
It's similar to a black tea, but it's got a little extra. It's like a really, really complex Earl Grey. I know that seems weird, but it's a lot more complex than an Earl Grey. It's got... Wow.
I think citrus is a fair tasting note in this one.
Yeah, very, very, very much
just
so.
a little bit of orange or lemon rind or something.
Yeah, I'll stay with orange rind, and I'll see if it unfolds into the lemon rind, because it could change into lemon rind really fast.
And so the varietal is AV2, which is probably the most propagated varietal in Darjeeling. Most everything you drink from Darjeeling is AV2, but there's a few other ones too, like the older heritage bushes. And we actually saw a black tea that was made from a Japanese varietal that's a Darjeeling That one's super interesting. We'll have that on at some point, maybe.
Was that the Black Thunder, or is that a different one?
That one we sell as Black Dragon.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, there's actually quite a bit of variation in Darjeelings. This one, so it's from Gopuldara Estate. So that's a higher elevation region in Darjeeling. Again, these are all like from the foothills of the Himalayas. I want to say it's grown about over 6,000 feet. So pretty high, about as high as like the highest growing Taiwanese oolongs. Those all tend to be between about 5,000 and 8,000 feet. And this is about as high as tea is grown in Darjeeling. It's an autumn harvest, right? So you would say it's a third flush Darjeeling. So harvested in mid-November. Fairly fresh, we're drinking this in early March right now, so only less than 5 months old.
It's a lot smoother than a traditional kind of mainstream black tea.
It is. Yeah.
Like I really like that about it.
Well, there's more complexity, right, than a black. Smoother than a first flush Darjeeling, generally. Those are closer to like green and white tea.
Orange rind for sure.
Orange rind, yeah.
Yeah.
Fairly sweet, yes. Sweet malts, a little bit of honey character.
Definitely malty.
Yeah.
I'm going to call you orange rind malt.
Yeah. So Darjeeling, it is a specialty region now, but it wasn't always considered that. Throughout most of the 20th century, they sold primarily to the USSR. That was their primary market, and more Assamica was grown in the region than Sinensis. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, they started becoming a little more specialty, planting more Sinensis bushes again, which is what was originally planted there, emphasizing organic practices, high quality small batch productions, and selling more to Western Europe and other areas such as Japan.
I really like the color of those leaves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're super red. I mean,
yeah, they're beautiful. Like I mean, if I was making wallpaper or making some type of texture backgrounds for websites, I would choose this tea leaf and the color patterns it's making. It's nice.
And one other thing I want to emphasize too, we've worked with this estate for a few years now, and they have improved every single year markedly. I feel like every year they get a little better at their production, because Darjeeling, unlike some areas of China, it's not quite as, it doesn't go back as many, tea making doesn't go back as many generations as say in the Phoenix Mountains or Yiwu in Yunnan, China. So they're still kind of getting on their feet a little, but there's definitely improvements that happen every single year, and it's really rewarding to track those. And this, of course, is the value of relationships, having long-standing relationships with tea growers, because we have access to fresh lots, experimental lots, the very cutting edge of what these farmers are doing in Darjeeling. This one is always super popular. We carry it almost every single year. People love this one. And, barring weather, it gets better every single year.
Black teas are something I'm still slowly getting into.
Sure.
And I'm starting to kind of find what I like.
Yeah.
But I definitely, if black tea was my, favorite, I would drink this over kind of a mainstream black tea.
Yeah.
It's got a smoothness to it, and the grapeness is nice.
Again, this is technically an oolong.
Okay, so then I'm definitely confusing the two. So this is basically a traditional black tea that has been prepared like an oolong.
Traditionally, this would be made into a black tea. This flush of Darjeeling would be made into a black tea, historically. But again, the region every year becomes more specialty. Basically, they're trying, and these farmers in particular are trying to market their tea to the higher end.
Well, and what's interesting is, again, how the flavors in the Dan Kong oolongs came out because of the processing techniques.
Yeah.
I can kind of taste it here. I'm starting to get cinnamon, and it's almost crossing over into cinnamon and apple from orange rind. And so, yeah, I would say that it is working.
Yeah, it has the complexity of an oolong.
So in a way, this tea would be a good fit for a black tea drinker and an oolong tea drinker.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can come at it from either end. You could come at it from a more traditional black tea perspective and say okay, I want to maybe try something a little different. This one has more complexity, more floral, more fruit than a lot of black teas. Or you come at it from an oolong drinker perspective. Okay, I've had Wu Yi, Dan Kong, like Taiwan. I've had all those. I want to see what's going on in Darjeeling, and I want to taste that expression of terroir as a high quality oolong.
That makes a lot of sense. And it's really nice to see how we had the orange rind up front, orange rind malty. And now in this last steeping, I could taste the cinnamon it was just obvious cinnamon middle note. And so you're right. I think there are some unfound flavors within the Darjeeling region that really do come out because of the processing techniques.
And so it's going to be really exciting this spring, I think. We've already gotten one first flush tea in, one from the lower elevation estate. It's really, really nice. Also big twisted leaves like this, very, very gung-fuable. And then we had also a really nice winter harvest Darjeeling too that also came in that we're selling as frosted tips oolong that was harvested on Christmas Day.
Is that one really sweet?
That one is quite sweet. It's interesting because that one's much less oxidized. You know, usually a later flush would be processed closer to this, but that one's processed more like a first flush. And you know, just the evolution of the artisanal expression is like quite astounding because they're really honing their craft, and like you know we get like a front row seat to it. And they're blending, you know, they're blending different techniques. They're blending Taiwanese techniques with Chinese techniques with like traditional Indian teas. So a lot of exciting things right now coming out of Darjeeling. And of course, Darjeeling itself is just, you know, picture perfect, like ideal tea growing region, like high elevation, lots of mist, rich soil, like very, very mineral rich soil. It's like washing down from the tops of the mountains constantly. Good cold weather. Of course, you know, cold weather gives the tea bushes kind of a healthy amount of stress to like work a little harder and produce more nutrients, more polyphenols, amino acids, like the things that give it like rich, complex flavors. And then the processing, of course, just brings that out. You know, the bruising of the leaves, the rolling of the leaves, the twisting, the withering. It's just going to all contribute to like this expression of flavor that is synthesized into the teacup.
How many of these Darjeelings, first flush, second flush, and third flush, does the Trident Tea and Cafe have right now?
So we've really been emphasizing Darjeelings recently and kind of trying to push those because it does seem to be a fairly popular genre. For a while, I was having trouble kind of separating the Darjeelings out from the other teas because they kind of follow a different classification system than the Chinese and Japanese and Taiwanese teas do. It's like they're more organized by flushes than like processing. And so what I eventually did was I moved them all into like one corner of the website. So everything from Darjeeling is in like one place online. If you go to like the tea tab on tridentcafe.com/teas, you can like click on, you'll see like green and white, black, oolong, and then like a whole section of Darjeelings because it's such like a unique category. But I think there's probably 8 or 9 teas on there right now, from first flush, low elevation, high elevation, second, third flush teas, you know, black teas, oolongs, different styles. It's really interesting to see them all.
And then again, what you were saying with the flushes for the Darjeelings and how first flush just means first harvested, then you wait a little bit, and then you do a second harvest on those same plants.
Summer, and there's an autumn harvest generally too. Yeah.
And then really, if you think about it, you know, you're organizing nature's seasons and organizing nature's energy to go through the plant.
Sure.
So that as you do your first pick, you have those seasons that kind of went into the plant and went into aging, went into growing the leaf, went into transporting the nutrients.
Yeah.
And so then the second flush comes again, and then you experience, you're basically drinking a different season.
Yeah.
Through the terroir.
Yeah, I think so.
So I think it's really a wonderful way to, you know, think about it, you know?
Yeah. So we've kind of already pushed this a little harder than I expected to. I never keep track of how many times I've seen the tea, but I think we're at around 6 or 7 right now.
Dude, you're way better at counting than I am.
It's just a feeling.
I was going to say 4 or 5.
I think it's been more than that.
If you are listening, go to Spotify and check out the video portion of the episode so you can tell which steep this is.
Yeah, please leave a comment down below. It's falling off a little now. I think like 6, 7, 8 good steeps is like about what you can expect from this one, which is a lot for a Darjeeling.
And when it falls off, it really goes from that orange rind or lemon rind. And now I'm tasting a lot more cinnamon.
Yeah.
It's just a good, even cinnamon.
Yeah,
now.
there's some herbaceous qualities, still a lot of tannins, still a good amount of sweetness.
The grape is slowly fading away. So with this Darjeeling, the Red Thunder, this is more of a quick steeper.
Yeah, like, I think 6-7 steeps is like what you're thinking in a Gaiwan here. This would also perform just fine in a teapot too. You're not going to get quite as much complexity, but it's not like going to be as finicky as a Phoenix Oolong or a Wu Yi Oolong or a Pu'er. So I think for just more casual teapot steeping, this one's completely appropriate. And again, I think you could recommend this to someone on either side, like an oolong drinker looking for something different, or a black tea drinker looking for something different. Like a little more complexity.
And I'm gonna go way out on a limb here. If you make iced tea or sun tea,
okay, yeah,
maybe this could be a good one for that.
I think I did do that last summer with the previous year's harvest. I was cold brewing like every single tea we had like last summer.
And what a great treat. And I find what's great about the sun brewed teas and even the cold brew teas, you can push the leaves longer because you're just extracting them, a couple times.
Yeah.
But if you're an iced tea drinker and you just want to give yourself a treat, like it tastes like you're drinking manna from the heavens, then, making an iced tea with some really high-end leaves is a really great place to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And those iced teas were phenomenal. Like this summer at the Trident, they're going to have, more of these kind of artisanal iced teas from these wonderful hot teas we've been drinking.
I just want to see what it's going to do in this steep.
Okay.
So let's push it a little.
We're pushing it.
Yeah, we're pushing it.
Red Thunder, what are you going to do?
Of course, the name Thunder because Darjeeling, or the more I think the less British pronunciation, Darjeeling means land of thunder. Yeah.
And then also Dorje's in there.
Dorje means thunder. Yeah. Or like Vajra in Sanskrit. Yeah.
Nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's not Darjeeling. It's
Darjeeling.
Darjeeling. Yeah. It's like in whatever the local dialect would be.
That makes Darjeeling a lot cooler and spiritual than that. Well, and it's like, man, Darjeeling. Maybe I'll choose teas from there. Because maybe they'll have Dorje effects.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it is like a land of thunder. It's a mountainous area.
Good call. Steeping that last one a little longer.
Oh, actually, that's quite good, right?
Yeah, it's nice.
I thought it was going to keep falling off, but no, that's good.
The orange came back.
Yeah, we got some more sweetness out of that too. Yeah, a little more honey.
Well, and again, if you think about it, we're at the bottom of our hot water, so the hot water's a little colder. Then we steeped a little bit longer, so we preserved some more flavors.
For sure.
And those leaves are not getting any uglier.
They're beautiful. Okay, everyone. Thank you once again for joining us. We hope you enjoy your tea in the future.
Thank you from the Immortality Podcast.